What's up, folks? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It is the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by our friends at the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Wade Neely sitting in the saddle here. Going to be joined in just a moment. Don't you worry, folks, by our trusty companion, the one, the only, the Hall of Famer himself, Mo Patton, will be with us here in just a matter of moments. Big show, producer Mark Rogers making the magic happen back behind the glass at HQ. It is the weekend warm-up. We do have an action-packed show. I mean, a massive show as we get ready to roll into another July weekend here. We're going to talk a little bit of everything across the sports landscape. We'll go preps to pros over the course of this show, and we've got a lot in between to break things down. But so delighted that you guys have joined us. Sit back and sit tight for the next couple here. Again, on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Kind of just a primer, just to get you ready to roll into the weekend. A taste, perhaps, if you will, of what's to come. Coming up in our second hour, our good friend VALAIR Shabilla, correspondent for Nashville Soccer Club at 615soccer.com. He will join us to recap a big victory for NSC that we discussed at the midweek versus the Columbus Crew. He will talk to us about their big showdown tomorrow night at Geodis Park versus Toronto FC. Again, that's in the second hour. Also in that second hour, we'll dip into the grab bag. Got a lot to cover. I mentioned a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We'll talk college football. We'll get into some wrap-up of SEC Media Days. We'll tell you who the quote-unquote experts have predicted coming out of SEC Media Days to be the league champ this year. We'll also talk some NFL and NBA news. In that first segment, coming up in just a matter of moments, however, we'll talk professional women's basketball. We'll talk with our good friend Doug FEINBERG from the Associated Press. All-Star Game festivities cranking up tonight. All-Star Game coming your way tomorrow in Indianapolis at 7:30. So good to catch up with Doug. We'll do so in just a matter of moments. Kind of the lay of the land for the show here today. And I told you guys he was here. He was lurking, but the one, the only. As I mentioned, the Hall of Famer himself, Mo Patton, is in the building. Good to see you, partner.
It's good to be seen, and even better, good to be heard, Wade. I'm glad to be here on this Friday afternoon, coming to you from the studios here at Main Street Murray. And, you know, it's funny, when you're moving back and forth, sometimes buttons get pushed, sometimes buttons get turned, and as a result, all hell breaks loose. So you got to make sure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted before you try to come online for the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Murray. But we got everything figured out, and we're here. And again, glad to be here. Shaping up to be a pretty good show, I think.
Yeah, pumped to see you, and glad to, man, you have taken up residency in Columbia this week. So good to see you in the studios. Good to know that everything, clearing the cobwebs out for us down there. I love that this week.
Absolutely. You know, we got to make sure that everything is ship shape down here, and just needed to be down here in the area either before or after the show on a few occasions this week. So I just figured I would just come down and camp out in Muletown this week and you know, take full advantage of the studio. We got the studio. We might as well use it, right?
Absolutely. And Mayor Chaz Mulder appreciates you spending some time and spending some dollars down there in Columbia.
Not necessarily in that order, I'm sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you said it, my man. We got a big show today. I'm excited for what we got on tap, kind of to ease us into one of the final few weekends here in July. And really no shortage, as we've kind of alluded to, of stuff to get into.
There's no shortage of stuff to get into. And as we sit here on this Friday, I saw a tweet earlier that was both exciting and depressing at the same time. 5 weeks till high school football season.
It is here. It is here. We will strap it up. We will get rolling. And what that means, I always love that when that comes around, because then, okay, you get that week. You get maybe even a few sprinkled week 0 college football games that you really don't care about, but you kind of do just because you're jonesing so much. And then the next week, you really get rolling. And then it's about one more week after that before the NFL cranks up. So always an exciting time of the year, and it is flown by.
Yeah, tell me about it. That's kind of the understatement right there. And it feels like it gets shorter and shorter. You know, I was talking to we were supposed to have Chris Rowland on yesterday, and he had something come up and was unable to come on with us. But I was talking to his mom, Ingrid Rowland, who is a career educator She was telling me she goes back to school next week. And, you talk to anybody in that line, and it just feels like it's getting shorter and shorter. And we're not in education, but we are pretty education adjacent, I guess, in what we do with high school athletics and that kind of thing. But yeah, it seems like just a few weeks ago we were getting done with spring fling, and maybe that's because it was just a few weeks ago that we were getting done with spring fling. But it's time.
It's time.
Like
I'm with you. I just left. The wife is in admin here in Metro, so I just left. She's been back for about a week and a half, and the rest of the crew arrives next week to really get things strapped up. So it is indeed time. But had a little lunch over there on campus today, and eased on back to get in. Duck the rain. It was a pretty heavy rainstorm here in Nashville a couple moments ago. So ducking and dodging and having fun all along the way.
Well, I'm glad you didn't get wet, man. I'd hate for you to melt. So with that said, I guess we should go ahead, Wade, now that we are both here, and get into, well, I would say yesterday's results, but there were no results. But let's get into today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
To the Friday rundown, and because I love you guys, I'll give you a little taste of something from yesterday, but it bleeds into today. Matt Fitzpatrick is tied with who else? Scotty Scheffler. He's lurking. He's still out there on the course. Both of those guys are at 9 under. Yesterday's round one leader, Hatung Lee, is sitting one shot below them at 8 under out at the Royal Portrush course in Northern Ireland. That's an open update there. Now, on to the schedule for today. With that out of the way, Friday MLB action, we crank back up. The Yankees and Braves will get underway at 6:15. That game can be seen on MLB Network. You can also see it on FanDuel Sports South. At 9:10 out on the West Coast, it'll be the Astros at the Mariners. Big AL West showdown there. Again, first pitch coming your way at 9:10 p.m. The Sounds are at home tonight at 6:35, which means it'll be Friday fireworks. And now the sun's coming out. So, yeah, it looks like we might be able to get a show in. Might be able to get a game in as well. 6:35, Indy at Nashville over at First Horizon Park. We talked about the WNBA All-Star Weekend cranking up. They were showing off the fits last night. They're going to show off the skills tonight as coverage of All-Star Weekend begins at 5:30 in Indianapolis. The skills challenge is officially set to begin at 7 p.m., and that will be shown on ESPN.
Saturday schedule, 6:15. Again, it's the Yankees and Braves down at Truist Park. That game can be seen on FanDuel Sports. At 8:40 on the MLB Network, you can see Houston continuing its series at Seattle. 6:35, the Sounds. Is that here? Sounds in Indy?
That's what my rundown shows, partner.
Okay. All right. Sounds at First Horizon tomorrow night as well. 6:35 start. It's Hit City Saturday. There's a booster water bottle giveaway. It is Scout Night by MTSU, and it's Hot Chicken Weekend. I'm not quite sure what that means, but hey.
Bring a bib is what that means.
There you go. That's what that means. MLS action tomorrow night. Again, we're going to be talking with VALAIR SHABILLA later in the show. Toronto comes to the Castle, taking on the Boys in Gold. That's a 7:30 first touch. You can see it on Apple TV. And, again, the WNBA All-Star Game, Team Collier versus Team Clark, minus Clark, 7:30 tip. You can see it on ABC as well as ESPN Plus and Disney Plus.
Rolling into your Sunday portion of the schedule, Braves and Yankees resume that series and close that series at 12:35. It'll be shown on FanDuel Sports South at 3:10 on the MLB Network. The Astros and Mariners will do the same. So, again, Braves and Yankees at 12:35 Sunday and the Astros Mariners at 3:10. Indianapolis at Nashville. Sounds action at 6:05. A later start time at 6:05 on Sunday, but you can still enjoy all the fun of Sunday Family Fun Day. And again, it is Hot Chicken Weekend. They'll also be donning at some point over the weekend those Hot Chickens jerseys, which pretty sharp. If you want to get one, I'd get to the park as early as possible this weekend to try and make sure you snag one. As again, Nashville and Indy close their series at 6:05 on Sunday night. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your schedule for the weekend. Those were yesterday's, whatever you want to call them, results, I suppose. But ladies and gentlemen, that concludes your Friday rundown.
Your top story brought to you as always by the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And the story comes out of Memphis, and it's not good. Memphis's athletic department has been put on probation for 2 years and fined $30,000 by the NCAA after an investigation found an academic counselor paid 2 softball players to help a men's basketball player with schoolwork. The punishment was agreed to by the University of Memphis athletic department, as a report says former Memphis academic counselor Leslie Brooks paid 2 unidentified softball players $550 total to provide test answers and complete assignments for an unidentified basketball player from January 25th to February 18th of 2024. Along with the $30,000 fine, Memphis has been docked 1% of the combined budget of the men's basketball and the softball programs for violating 7 NCAA bylaws. The 3 players competed in a combined 20 games while ineligible, and Memphis will remain on probation through July 15th of 2027. Why the academic advisor got the softball players involved rather than just having one of her underlings take care of this? Maybe they were all in the same class or something. I don't know. That's an odd way to go about this. Memphis Athletics spokesperson said the school would not release the names of the players involved. I can see where that would be the case.
Memphis Commercial Appeal says, hold my beer. Malcolm Dandridge is who they have outed as the recipient, I guess, in this case, of the coursework.
Okay.
So we got dueling parties there, but either way you slice it, either way you dice it. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to cheat, you got to do a little better than this, kind of somewhat to your point a minute ago. And, this seems innocent enough on the scale of academic impropriety that we've seen at institutions over the years. Tough break there. And, my immediate thought was everybody's so worried about ChatGPT writing the papers for these and doing the coursework for these athletes and these students at large. We just went back old school. Memphis said, you know what, we're just going to go old school. And how about you take the test or you do the quiz answers and you 2 softball players, you're as good as anybody.
Well, and see, here's the thing. If you don't involve the softball players, it kind of goes back to the Scooby-Doo thing. And I would have got away with it if it hadn't been for those meddling kids, because it was one of the softball players that told their softball coach, hey, she's making us do this. And that coach then ran things, up the chain of command. And that's where the problem started. You can't get a lot of people involved in this stuff.
No, people talk.
If you're going to do it.
People talk, or, all of a sudden you see these 2 softball players, they're flaunting a little more on campus. I don't know the terms of their NIL deal, I suppose, but, they're flaunting a little more. They got a little extra jingle in their pocket. It's like, well, where'd that money come from? Oh, well, didn't you know I was taking care of insert player here. Again, unless you're the commercial appeal.
It sounds like the commercial appeal has inserted player here. Yeah.
Yeah. Malcolm Dandridge is like, hey guys, keep my name out of this. Coincidentally, he has just signed a deal to play overseas in Germany. So he's removed. And this is kind of always how it goes, right? The NCAA, there's no way to really actively monitor, capture, and kind of fairly or justly punish these situations in real time. So we're talking about players, we're talking about coaches, we're talking about academic advisors years ago, and some are there, some are not there. And more often than not, it's usually players and teams and officials that are not there.
The enforcement staff and school agreed that the violations in this case occurred when Brooks asked 2 softball student athletes to assist a men's basketball student athlete with coursework for classes they had in common, and said she would pay the student athletes for supporting him. The first athlete went on to complete 3 assignments for the men's basketball student athlete and was paid $150. The second softball student athlete provided the answers to 5 tests and 4 quizzes to Brooks, plus the answers to an additional 2 tests and 1 quiz directly to the men's basketball student athlete. She was paid $400 by Brooks. Where's that money coming from? Is that coming directly out of her pocket, or how is that working?
I'm not sure if she got reimbursed, but I'm reading from The Athletic, and $550 came from Leslie Brooks's personal Apple Pay account. So hopefully she got her money back in some capacity. Otherwise, man, that's a really tough situation. And everything about this, like I said, is kind of sloppy, right? You're not really covering your tracks. I mean, you're paying from your own personal Apple Pay. I mean, it's open shut case. The corner boys on the wire would be a little disgusted with their lack of decorum here. So it's kind of a tough scene for Memphis, and kind of also somewhat familiar territory for Memphis over the years.
Yeah. You know, just when you thought you had kind of gotten by and gotten away from all that, it rears its ugly head yet again down in Memphis. So, but hopefully they can go forth and sin no more, and everything is good, and things go well for Malcolm over in Germany, and the 2 unidentified softball student athletes can go on with whatever it is they're doing. So,
and the real key on this too is, in 2022 they were placed on 3 years probation for James Wiseman and his eligibility under Penny's first season. Conveniently for Memphis, at least, or luckily for Memphis, that is now rolled off the books. So yeah, you got one set of allegations kind of cleared and behind you, but the good news is you didn't get double dinged here.
Yeah. They would have been under double secret probation if that had been the case. So let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, as we continue the weekend warm-up. When we come back, we'll be joined by Doug FEINBERG of the Associated Press, talking a little WNBA All-Star Weekend up in Indianapolis. Stick around.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
Busy bee, yeah, busy bee. If you need
Hold on, y'all, hold on. I need to make a call. Hey, this is Brianna with Busy Bee. I'm giving you a call to let you know your technician is on his way.
333.
Oh, busy bee. Guys, not yet. Not yet.
Busy bee, oh,
Now
busy
I'm ready,
bee.
guys.
Call 775-7833.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Hey, welcome back into the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Joining us now is Doug FEINBERG of the Associated Press. Doug, I'm assuming you're in or close to Indianapolis?
I'm in Indianapolis. It's good to see you guys.
Okay.
What's up, Doug?
Good to see you, man. Appreciate you taking some time with us, getting ready for the WNBA All-Star festivities tonight and the game tomorrow night. Did you go to the red carpet yesterday?
I did. They call it the orange carpet here.
I'm sorry.
Orange carpet. Yeah.
There we go. That
Listen,
makes sense.
You guys have known me for a while now. I'll tell you a funny story. Not only did I go to the orange carpet, I asked about fashion. I was
going to ask you who were you wearing?
I was wearing a Nike Jordan brand shirt, some khakis. What's great when you know the players and they see you there, they're like, "Why are you here?" I'm with all the influencers and like the fashion people, and then there's me. And like I'm good friends with Kelsey Plum, Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart, Asia Wilson. They're like, look at me like, "You're here?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Listen, I'm the fashion savant." They all start laughing. I said, "I'm supposed to ask, right? What are you wearing?" And they start laughing. They tell me. I said, "Listen, you could tell me whatever you're wearing. You could make things up. I probably wouldn't know what it is or not. You could say whatever, but they all look fantastic." They added a new wrinkle this year. They actually had like a sort of like a little catwalk where they had about hundreds of fans there. So they walk on stage, they show what they're wearing. They had an MC ask a couple questions, and the fans went nuts for it. I mean, it was great addition to an already just walking the orange carpet and talk to schmoes like me. They actually got to have fans appreciate what they did and what they wear.
I know Wade is big into the fits, so I'm sure he would have enjoyed that. Probably caught some of that last night as well. Wade, were you impressed?
I was impressed as always, but I was digging Paige Beckers. She kind of had a Billie Eilish look going on with the sleeveless. The sunglasses look great. I mean, she was kind of oozing swag for your likely rookie of the year, it seems, Doug. And to your point a moment ago, you just got to roll with it and say, yeah, I'm supposed to be here, baby. Who else would you expect to be here is the way I'd look at that, Doug.
That's a good way to look at it. I just know how they were dressed and how I was dressed, and they would win hands down. Not it would be a competition anyway, but they all really dressed up well. They all had stylists. They all had designers they were wearing. Paige looked great. I mean, they all did. And like Angel Reese had a leopard coat on that was impressive.
Kalia Copper's jacket was pretty wicked as well.
Yeah. You also had Kelsey Plum wear like this red dazzling dress. I made sure I put the word dazzling in my story last night because that's, I think, a fashionish type word. So it was good. And while I'm making fun of myself, I'll give you one more quick thing. I was telling you I had some computer problems today. I had to call the tech people. My camera wasn't working right away. And after about 2 minutes, like, can you slide the little thing up top on your laptop to see if that's open or not? Sure enough, I had slid it closed so the camera was blocked. Which when you open, it like happens all the time. You know, your laptop, you open it up in the center. I was like, well, I feel like an idiot. We just never had this conversation. So once again, if you can't make fun of yourself and tech things and fashion things, you can't really make fun of anybody else.
Well, and here's the thing, man. We are in such a technical world right now, and it's so easy for something to go wrong, as in about 25 minutes ago on this very show. So, I mean, you just got to roll with it and go from there. But I'm glad that you were able to get that all figured out, Doug, because we like to see you. And I guarantee you were a lot more comfortable than the young ladies were last night.
Sure, we'll go with that. I definitely they had a fun time last night after the orange carpet. I'll phrase it that way from things I've seen on social media and talking to them this morning at availability at 9:30 a.m., which is almost cruel to make players come in at 9:30 in the morning to talk to the media after a night out, so to speak, or a night in wherever they were. So they were all great. They were great to talk to. They're used to it. People are like, how do they do that? I'm like, they're professionals. They know what they're doing.
Doug FEINBERG of the Associated Press joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Doug coming to us from Indianapolis, side of this weekend's WNBA All-Star Weekend. The game is tomorrow night at 7:30 Central Time at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. But tonight you've got the skills challenge and you've got the three-point contest. And, of course, second-year player Caitlin Clark was slated to play in the three-point contest, and obviously she's captain of Team Clark for tomorrow night's All-Star game, not going to participate in either with that groin injury that she's nursing. What does that do in terms of the three-point contest, do you think, Doug? You've got Lexi Hull taking her teammate's place, you've also got Sonia Citrone, Alicia Gray, Sabrina Ionescu, and Kelsey Plum. Who do you like?
Back up for a second here. I mean, just the whole weekend's got a little bit of a damper on it since Clark can't compete tonight or tomorrow, and obviously she's the face, one of the few faces of this league. It's in Indianapolis. It's her home. Like it's sad. She didn't do the 3-point contest at all in the NBA All-Star that was being discussed. She goes, I want to do it. My first 3-point contest ever in Indianapolis, the WNBA. And sure enough, the groin injury happened earlier this week, and isn't able to participate this weekend on the court. So that part is sad because it would have been great. The atmosphere tonight would have been ramped up even more with her being able to compete, and tomorrow night with her playing in the game. As far as who I picked tonight, I mean, Alicia Gray won both last year. She won the skills contest and the 3-point contest, which was unbelievable. I'm a New York guy. I was there 2 years ago when she set the record, hitting 25, 27 shots. It's tough to bet against Sabrina Ionescu, and I think she'll probably win again tonight unless something crazy happens. Do I think she'll break her own record? That's probably a bit of a stretch because then she'd have to hit 26 out of 27 or 27 out of 27, which would be unbelievable. I mean, I don't even know the right word. It was unbelievable when she did hit 25. To hit 26 or 27, mind-boggling, insane, pick your adjective. It's crazy. So I think I got to go with Sabrina for that. For the skills competition, that's, I think, a little more wide open. Some really good, talented players in there. Skylar Diggins is doing it. Erica Wheeler from Seattle. I got to go with Courtney Williams. She's got an extra little swag to her right now. That's one of the highlights this weekend for everyone is this thing. They're doing their own little podcast or Twitch stream or whatever the kids call it now. Her and her friend Natisha Heidemann. That's the hit of this weekend. They're going behind the scenes, giving people content, talking to players. Last night at the events, we'll call them, that they were at, they were showing stuff live. Courtney Williams, when there's money on the line, don't mess with her. So I think Courtney Williams is my pick for the skills competition as well.
Seems like it's going to be a fun night of activities, Doug, and I kind of like your breakdown there. And to me, yeah, what you just said about a skills competition, it kind of invites somebody that's going to give a little dazzle, a little flair, I would imagine. So I kind of like what you're approaching with when you mentioned Williams a moment ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, I'd be open. They were saying that this could be record-breaking times. I don't know what the record is for the skills competition, but it could be broken tonight. I mean, you also have Natasha Cloud, who is focused for her first chance for the All-Star stuff here, might do it. So you have a bunch of guards that are pretty talented that I think has a chance to have a great night tonight and not steal the show from the 3-point contest because skills is just a different thing than that is. But I think it should be a fun, exciting event to go along with the 3-point contest.
Yeah, and to your point, Doug, again, Alicia Gray is also back, and she, like you said, won both of them last year, so she is in both of them yet again. So certainly someone to watch in the skills challenge as well. Obviously, we've had some injuries that have impacted some availability for tomorrow night's game. In addition to Clark, Ron Howard from the Dream will not be playing, and there's another big that's not playing tomorrow night, and I've forgotten who it is just that quickly. But I know that Brittany Syke. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say the one that's not out there yet, but is here but may not play is Asia Wilson, the reigning MVP. Oof. She injured her wrist about a week ago, and then said she fell on the other day, and she had a giant wrist brace on today, and she said she's going to decide how it's feeling tomorrow, whether she plays or not. So she is here. They didn't replace her, but that's somebody who may or may not play tomorrow night, or if she does play, may play limited minutes. And again, that's one of the faces of the league. You have her, you have Paige Beckers, who you mentioned. You obviously have Caitlin Clark. If two of those three don't play, it's unfortunate for the game, which could have been such a great celebration. It will be. There's still a lot of really good stars here, but if you're missing Caitlin Clark and Asia Wilson, it puts a little bit more of a damper on what could be a really fun night tomorrow night.
That does put a little bit of a damper on things when you're already without Clark, and then you possibly are missing Asia Wilson as well. And for Indianapolis's first time to host this thing, obviously the crowd is going to show up regardless, but what could be a really buzzy, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, event really kind of loses a little bit of its luster already with Caitlin not being able to play, and then if Asia is limited as well, it's a tough set of circumstances for the WNBA when they've got so many eyes on them right now, I would think.
Yeah, and it's been a really great momentum for this league the last couple of years. I'm sure we'll talk about the CBA at some point shortly, but like everything's trending in the right direction. And it's prime time tomorrow night, ABC, I believe. Like if you had everyone playing, if Clark was playing, Wilson again, we don't know what's going to happen. So I don't want to say she's not playing yet, but there's a chance she'll be limited tomorrow night. This could have been a really special night. I mean, a Saturday night, prime time. They've been doing some pretty good numbers. I mean, it's an exhibition game, so let's not get crazy now that like it's still exhibition basketball. But I wouldn't be shocked if they could have gotten a huge 3 million people watching it tomorrow night, maybe more, which has been huge for them and huge for just a showcase for the league for people, fans to watch. Go, wow, these women can really play basketball well and put on a show for everyone, which you want to be entertained by All-Star games.
Yeah. Satu Sabali from Phoenix is the other player that I was trying to think of who is scratched from tomorrow night's game. Doug, let's go ahead and talk about the CBA, though. I mean, it's a little over my head, but you can probably educate us. What are the players' concerns going into these talks, and what are they trying to get done?
So we only have so much time. If we had 17 hours, I could probably give you half of what's going on here, but I'll give you the short Cliff Notes version, or Chat GBT now to go for the young audience we have. But basically, the CBA ends in the end of October. The players decided to opt out of it last year, a couple years early. So the current one ends after the season's over this year. The players want more salaries. Both sides want this to be a transformational CBA. The players deserve it. There's been so much more money coming into the league. There are 3 new expansion teams that were just announced in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philly in 28, 29, and 30. 2 new teams are coming in next year, Toronto and Portland. So there's a lot of money coming into the league. The TV deal they have that's worth $2.2 billion over the next 11 years. So the players want to be compensated. One part is salaries. They deserve more money. The top salary right now is, I think, $250,000 roughly base salary. And that's for top players. Rookies make $75,000. I think Caitlin Clark made $75,000 this year, which is crazy to think about her value and what she gets, but it's collectively bargained. So they want more money. That's only part of it. They also want, like the NBA guys have, revenue sharing, so they can make money off of sales of jerseys, shirts, whatever it may be that the teams make. They get a revenue share. So that's where they're really far apart. Those are the 2 biggest issues. There's other things. There's obviously childcare and pension plans and things that are secondary, so to speak. But those are the top 2 issues. And the players and the owners met yesterday, first time in person as a group since December. There are 40 players there representing all sort of generations. Nneka Ogwumike, who's the president of the union, was there, as well as Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, some of the youngsters. So they met in person. The meeting, the words that the players gave me yesterday, I was actually able to talk to them at the fashion part, the orange carpet, which was great, was neutral. It wasn't a great meeting, wasn't a bad meeting. It was neutral. They sort of both sides talking to each other a bit about what they're looking for. There's been a proposal by each side so far, which is very far apart, unfortunately. But we all know, listen, negotiations don't end on one meeting. Like, no one gives you the offer that you're going to end up with on the first offer. It doesn't happen in anything. Salary, deals, anything you do, you never get that first offer. It's like, oh, this is great, I'm taking it. So that's kind of where we stand. They met yesterday for a couple hours, and they all came away with like, okay, we discussed some things, but nothing really is close to being done. We're far apart on salaries. The league still wants to offer fixed revenue as opposed to saying that the players get 52% of the revenue sharing they can get from those other activities. So that's kind of where we are after the first meeting. They said they'll have more meetings, which is obviously a positive sign, but we'll see. I mean, this league's probably not ready for a lockout or a walkout if they get that far come October, November, December. I don't know if that would be good for anybody.
Yeah, Doug, I was just getting ready to ask you. I was reading your article this morning, kind of brushing up as much as I could on this. Like Mo said, it's a little bit over my head. But, man, for a league, as you write, that has not had a work stoppage since it started in 97, if you had to maybe assign a percentage, this is a classic radio question here. If you had to maybe assign a percentage of a walkout or a lockout, where do we kind of sit? Are we at a high threat level, or where do we kind of stand at the moment?
So I'm an optimistic guy. That's how I live. I see glass half full most of the time in my life. I am sort of still going with glass half full, optimistic that there would not be a work stoppage or out or lockout. The owner side being the lockout, work stoppage being the players saying we're not going to work. I just don't think. I think there's too many smart people in that room to let that happen. It's easy to say we're willing to do this. None of the owners have talked to have said anything about locking the players out. I'm not sure where that narrative came from out there that was mentioned in a couple places a couple days ago. I would put a small percentage at this moment in time there'll be any kind of work stoppage for next year.
I'm not as familiar with the players off the floor, the front offices and that kind of thing in the WNBA. But I tend to lean toward what you just said, Doug. It feels like there's too many smart people involved with this. And I think everybody knows that, a rising tide is going to lift all boats in this situation. You've got the golden goose right now. Times have never been better for the WNBA than right now. And, don't be like the NCAA and keep all of that for yourself. Take care of the folks who are the forward facing individuals in this product,
Yeah, and listen, here's another small issue, or not, maybe not small, but there's two different types of owners right now in this league. A lot of new owners who have big pockets or deep pockets have come in lately. And there's a bunch that are also the old school owners that were supporting their teams, not on shoestring budgets, but they weren't investing as much as they needed to for that you'd have now. I mean, the New York Liberty ownership group, Joe Tsai, Clara Wu Tsai, will get anything the players need. They are deep pocketed. They care about this league. They care about their team, and they're willing to spend what they need to do for the team to be successful. And that's going to be the norm right now. And a player said, well, today, like, if you don't want to invest in this, just get out. Probably can make pretty good money selling a team right now. So the question would be like, okay, well, if I'm going to get my money out and get another deep pocketed owner in there, that might help negotiations. If there are more people willing to spend more money, it could help everybody, if that makes sense.
That absolutely makes sense. And, there's at least one team that there is some conjecture about their viability where they are currently located, I guess. Does the Sun, survive this under, what we just said, basically? Or are they a team that could change hands and could change locales?
It's funny you mentioned that because there's a locale that you think you guys are in that is interested in getting a WNBA team, right?
Bring them on down, partner.
Yeah. Here's my answer to that. So the Sun have publicly said they're looking to sell or find more investors. Connecticut has been a great partner for the league. They're when they first got in, they were one of the best franchises from that standpoint. They were invested. They were an ownership group. They sold out that arena, which was the perfect size, about 10,000, 9,000 fans come in there. It was great. They've had great success there, but they've sort of been outgrown. And the tribe doesn't want to build a new practice facility, which is a big player point right now. Most of the great teams out there either have great facilities right now for the players or are building them the next year or two. So the Connecticut, I think, is one of those teams that will definitely has a chance to move. Selfishly, I would hope they go to Boston because there's something nice about having Boston, Philly, New York, Washington. And we all know in other sports, you have rivalries. You got those 5 cities in there, Northeast, that's a huge deal. Conversely, you need the South. You need more teams down there where you guys are. I mean, you have Atlanta, and that's it. So finding one in Nashville, if you get one in Florida sometime, like it helps to have geographically all over the country. So selfishly, I'd love to see Connecticut move to Boston because also I think you could maybe still play some games in Connecticut, which I think would be nice for that fan base because they're obviously so rabid for college hoops. And when those Connecticut players come, the UConn players come back, they all support them, and it's great to see. So if you move away from there, it'd be sad for that fan base. But yeah, Connecticut's a team that I think could move, and the place where you guys are at right now in Nashville, they really want a team down there, and what's better than the Tennessee Summits, right? So that would be pretty good to have a team down there.
To your point about the Sun in Boston, they played a game at Boston earlier this week, did they not?
They did. That's where, unfortunately, Caitlin Clark got hurt. They had 19,000 fans there and about a minute left in the game. She tweaked her groin, injured her groin, and she has not played since, unfortunately. They were in New York the next day, but they've had 2 games in Boston the last 2 years and sold out each one or had a huge crowd in each one. and had stuff around it. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, Boston's done a nice job in the 2 games they've had up there of getting fans interested and putting on a good product.
Doug Feinberg of the Associated Press joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Doug, as you look at the standings here at the All-Star break, you got to look a little bit farther down than you're used to looking to find Vegas at 11-11. They are currently the number 8 team in the league, or 7, tied with the Mystics, a game up on expansion Golden State. We talked to Willie G. Ramirez late last week, I guess it was, about the Aces. What's your read? What's your take on them? Do they get back to where we've gotten used to them seeing, or is the window starting to close on them? And if so, why?
First off, I trust whatever Willie said. Willie's the man. So I think every team in every pro sport has a certain window to win championships. And Vegas' window, I think, is more towards the end of it right now than it was the beginning. They obviously won 2 titles in a row. They were great. I think here's the thing. They've lost a couple players. They lost Alicia Clark. They lost Tiffany Hayes, who were huge bench players to them. They lost Sydney Colson, who may not have played much, but she is a glue. She's on Indiana right now. Everyone loves her. She's a glue of a team. So you lose those 3, which hurt their on-the-court performance. But they also lost 2 coaches, 2 assistant coaches. You have Tyler Marsh, who went to Chicago, and Natalie Nakase, who went to Golden State. So there's a continuity difference there. And Becky Hammond said it, how it's different when you don't have someone you can turn to who you know that they're going to scout the way you want them to scout, put stuff together on offense and defense how you're used to it. So it takes some adjustment time. They're not going to finish at 500. They're going to be above 500. They'll be healthy, assuming Asia's wrist is okay. But are they probably in the contention if you're ranking teams to win the championship this year? They're not 1 or 2, because that's Minnesota and probably New York. The way Phoenix is playing, they're probably 3. They're probably, I think, 4 or 5 right now as far as chance to win the championship.
There you go. Doug, we appreciate it. What's your fit going to be for tonight and tomorrow night? Is it still Jordan and khakis, or are you going to pop out on them tonight?
I mean, listen, I'm a khaki guy. From that standpoint, I have a nice dress shirt I might wear tonight, but I'm not the show. You want to watch the players perform on the court. To me, as you guys know, as sports writers, reporters, you want comfort. So go what's comfortable, because if you're writing a story, if you're sitting there like the arms are all like tight in the shirt, that doesn't help write a good story. They got you put under pressure that way. So I'm an easy casual guy. Probably won't go the Jordan shirt tonight. May just go like the nice dress shirt.
I can appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Doug, we appreciate you for taking some time with us this afternoon, and I look forward to catching up with you again here soon.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back to continue the weekend warm-up, we'll be talking a little baseball. Stick around.
If you want the latest in weather conditions, be sure to tune in to our Busy Bee Plumbing Weather Report each weekday on Mornings on Main Street. Brought to you, of course, by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. We will keep you updated on the latest conditions outside, like severe weather, heat, snow, rain, and even hail.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
They walk among us, but at 240 miles per hour, they become something more. They're thrill seekers, risk takers, and maybe just a little bit unhinged. Buckle up. This new era of speed, this racing revolution, it's just getting started.
July 18th, 2006, the Braves scored in each of their first 6 at-bats and got a pair of home runs from Andrew Jones, along with bombs from Adam LaRoche, Chipper Jones, and Brian McCann to down host St. Louis 14-5. The win marked Atlanta's 5th consecutive double-digit outing, matching an outburst previously accomplished by the 1930 New York Yankees. The Braves scored 65 runs in the 5 wins, including a pair of 15-run efforts. That was this day in Braves history. Double digits seems way far off for this Braves team these days as they get ready to get back into play following the All-Star break with the Yankees coming to town. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. The Yankees coming in at 53-43. Braves 11 games under 500 at 42-53. That's a 6:15 start tonight down at Truist Park. Former Atlanta Brave Max Fried gets the ball for the Yankees, 11-3 with a 2.43 earned run average, an American League All-Star this year. Spencer Strider, 3-7 with a 3.94 ERA, getting the start for Atlanta as they come back to resume play after taking 2 of 3 in St. Louis, but dropping the Sunday finale 6-5. Tough loss there. Again, we talked to Donnell Suggs earlier this week about what you could look forward to with this Braves team, and it's just, to me, it's tough to be really optimistic about this team with the pitching situation being what it is. Now, they did make a trade here in the last couple of days. They acquired right-hander Dane Dunning from Texas, sent Jose Ruiz and a minor leaguer, I believe, to Texas, but Dunning was voted by the local Baseball Writers Association of America as the Texas Rangers Pitcher of the Year in 21 and 23, but was on the block, I guess, and Atlanta was able to get him, and I think it's his versatility that really kind of speaks to the Braves right now as they are trying to fill a lot of holes. Obviously, you've got Strider, you've got Holmes, you've got Elder, and basically you've got 2 bullpen starts that you're looking at. So guys that can come out of the pen and give you bulk work, I guess, are guys that are going to be at a premium for the Braves here over the next little bit.
Yeah, and it feels like just a depth pattern, if nothing else. Not the sexiest of moves by any means, whether that means in terms of buying or selling, but kind of a move to maybe get you afloat and maybe give you 10 days or so to kind of evaluate where you really are toward the real second half of the season here.
Yeah. Dunning had been a starter pretty much his first 4 seasons in Texas. He's come out of the bullpen. Well, he's bounced back and forth between the Rangers and AAA Round Rock this year. With the Rangers, he's come out of the bullpen in all 5 of his appearances, and he's got a 3.38 earned run average. So he's been effective there. But a lot of his work has been at the AAA level. So it'll be interesting to see how the Braves best deploy him. Because even if this offense comes around, and I kind of sound like a broken record on this, but the pitching, they've just got so many holes to try to fill there that it's tough to see how they do that well enough to be as successful as folks would like for this team to be here between now and the end of the season. I don't know what the realistic, ceiling is for this team given the personnel situation right now.
Yeah, you're in a weird spot, right? I mean, you're trailing 5 teams in the wild card race, but you're not so bad that you just really want to completely blow everything up. So it's kind of murky waters, obviously unfamiliar waters for this franchise in recent years at least. So they're kind of in a weird spot here, and that's what I kind of get the sense that these next 10 days maybe will really kind of determine – maybe not as much as I'm thinking, but it'll give you at least some insight on your direction for the final couple months of the season.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Wade. I don't know that you do blow it up just because of, the histories and the people that you've got in place. It's tough to think that this many people are having bad years at the same time, but I don't know what else it is that you do think. I mean, and you've got some guys that are absolute building blocks that have to be untouchables. So, your 2 all-stars on offense, Acuna and Olsen, they're not going anywhere. Obviously, you've got the rookie Drake Baldwin. He's not going anywhere. I think it would be stupid to do anything with Sean Murphy, really, just because they've really got an envious situation at catcher with the possibility of, kind of flexing one of those guys to the DH role. I mean, as bad as they are, it feels like they are in a pretty good position in a lot of different areas. So, like you said, it's a really murky situation. It's certainly one that we've not seen in Atlanta in this manner. I don't know that we've ever seen, again, because of all the injuries. I mean, going back to the offseason, losing Ronaldo Lopez and then losing A.J. Smith-Shawver before he really gets going good, and then the Sale and the Schwellenbach and all of that. And I just don't know how you can, as a front office executive, plan. I mean, what is that? Your plan F? I mean, that's not even plan C or D. That's way down the list when you're trying to replace or cover up for that many losses in your pitching staff. So it's been an interesting situation, and looks as if it's going to continue to be for the Braves.
Yeah, and you're kind of almost in a state of limbo there, because if you don't make any moves, like I said, you're trailing 5 other teams, even for realistic wild card consideration. You're kind of just really in purgatory in an MLB sense, and you'll just be kind of counting down the days. Green Day said it best, wake me up when September ends, and unless there's some sort of move that gives you optimism for the current or the future, that might be the situation for them going forward, unless they can spring something here in this next couple weeks.
Yeah, and maybe they can. There's precedent. I just don't think that this team is built like that team was built, so it'll bear watching for sure. Meanwhile, again, Houston goes to Seattle, top 2 teams in the AL West. Houston's got a five game lead going into tonight's play. They could really come out of this weekend looking and feeling really good, or you could set up a dogfight the rest of the way, depending on what Seattle does and obviously what the Astros do with a 5-game gap between those 2 teams.
Yeah, this will be interesting, right? And we kind of broke it down a little bit yesterday. It'll be fascinating to see how this series kind of plays out. And for me, as kind of the ultra casual baseball and Astros fan, part of me wants to see them, take care of business and get that buffer back to where it was. But also part of me kind of wants a little drama down the stretch. I still don't necessarily think this is a team that's got the goods to win it all. So I may have to get my drama in during the months of August and September. It'll just remain to be seen. But yeah, tonight's series kind of kicks off a big one. There's several high-profile showdowns kind of coming right out of the gate. Houston does have a very favorable schedule. I think like 4th easiest schedule for the remainder of the regular season. So they are seemingly in pretty good shape. But this should be a fun one. Getting cranked up. Houston had kind of stubbed their toe after a real epic run in the month of June and early July before they kind of crashed toward the end. I'm kind of excited to see what they have on tap over the next couple nights.
Yeah, you mentioned some other interesting matchups here over the weekend. Just from looking
One
at
going on
records
right
and that
now.
kind of thing. Yeah, looks like the Cubs up 3-1 on Boston in the top of the sixth there. But tonight, I would dare say that when Milwaukee goes to LA to take on the Dodgers aren't going to have forgotten that long losing streak that the Brewers were involved with for them when they go out there. So that could be kind of spicy, I guess. The Brewers going in 56-40, LA 58-39, coming into tonight's play. So that'll bear watching, I would think. Also, an interleague matchup with San Francisco going north of the border, taking on Toronto. And on the other end of the spectrum, the Chicago White Sox go to PNC Park, taking on Pittsburgh. So
they'll be paying you to go to those games. But you're right. Especially, man, you said it best. We've got the Dodgers and Brewers. Those are two of the top 5 teams in MLB in terms of records. We got the Cubs and Red Sox, which are 2 top 10 teams. Giants and Blue Jays. Blue Jays were on the heater of all heaters until just before we hit the All-Star break. So MLB kind of struck gold by accident, it feels like, with the schedule coming right out of this little layoff.
No doubt. Hour number 1 of the weekend warm-up is in the books here at Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Come back for hour number 2. After this break, we'll get into the grab bag. Stick around. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
It's hour number 2 of the weekend warm-up here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We mentioned college football is coming up on us. A number of conferences had their media days this week, including the OVC Big South, which had their event yesterday. And in their preseason projections, the Golden Eagles of Tennessee Tech were voted as your preseason conference favorite, drawing 5 first-place votes and outdistancing perennial playoff participant UT Martin by a single point. Tech, Martin, and Southeast Missouri are your top three teams in the preseason poll for the OVC Big South, followed by Lindenwood, Western Illinois, Eastern Illinois. The Panthers tied with Gardner Webb for sixth. Tennessee State, with new coach Reggie Barlow, is picked eighth in the preseason, and Charleston Southern is the number 9 team in the 9-team field. Now, obviously, the Tigers will probably take exception to that, but lost a lot. They shared the OVC Big South title last year, split 4 ways, but they were in a 4-way tie for the top last year, went to the playoffs, lost a game out in the Northwest. I can't remember if it was Montana or Montana State that got them, but nice season. Obviously, Eddie George bounces to Bowling Green after that. They have a coaching change, and, the portal does what the portal does. So TSU projected as the number 8 team in the OVC Big South for the upcoming season. Tennessee Tech and UT Martin projected 1-2 or 1 and 1A maybe by the voting. So
feels like that league is always competitive, and it always feels like maybe they don't win it, but there's always a team that kind of makes a run and really thrusts themselves in the conversation. This poll to me gives us a little bit of a glimpse, a little bit of a blueprint, but I would be absolutely shocked if things really kind of hold in any sort of fashion, considering just kind of it feels like somebody new emerges every year.
Yeah, absolutely. Although Martin has kind of sealed its spot at or near the top of late, they have won or shared the last 4 OVC or OVC Big South football championships. So it kind of has become UT Martin with Jason Simpson and then everybody else, or some mix of everybody else. Be interesting to see if the Skyhawks can continue that good work again here in 2025. Want to mention the Southwest Athletic Conference also had their media days and have their preseason picks. And Alabama A&M is picked 4th in the SWAC Eastern Division. Jackson State, Florida A&M, Alabama A&M. I'm sorry, Jackson State, Florida A&M, Alabama State, Alabama A&M, Bethune-Cookman, and Mississippi Valley are 1 through 6 in the East. In the West, it's Southern, Alcorn, Prairie View, Texas Southern, Grambling, and Arkansas Pine Bluff in order are your favorites there. So Jackson State and Southern picked to win their respective divisions in the SWAC. I mentioned the SWAC because Tennessee State, again, the number 8 team in the OVC Big South preseason poll, hosts Alabama A&M in the inaugural Legacy Classic on September 13th. So nice little crossover matchup there between the OVC Big South and the SWAC. Something to keep an eye on again in Coach Barlow's first season with the Big Blue. Speaking of the SWAC, some tough news overnight. A former Texas Southern player, defensive lineman Tyler Martinez, was shot and killed in a parking garage. Well, I'm sorry, it wasn't overnight. It was last weekend, just within shouting distance of the TSU, Texas Southern University campus. The 24-year-old Martin apparently was shot by, or allegedly shot by, a current Texas Southern student. Isaac Robinson was arrested after shooting Martinez in an altercation in a parking garage of a Houston apartment complex. So, again, you hate to hear this type of situation anywhere, but particularly when it's young adults and folks that are, just kind of embarking on life and that kind of thing. It seems to hit especially hard. So, thoughts with the football program out of Texas Southern for sure.
Yeah, tough situation all around, and we'll be thinking about them and praying for the best, because that is about as rough a news as you can get right on the cusp of your season. Tough situation there.
Yeah, Martinez had been graduated for a couple of years, but obviously still a lot of contact with a lot of folks in that program and that kind of thing. So I'm sure they will be impacted by that. You hate to hear it. We mentioned earlier in the show the SEC Football Media Days wrapped up yesterday. Their preseason poll. They've got Texas as your preseason favorite to win the Southeastern Conference. No great shock. Probably Georgia number 2, Alabama and LSU at 3 and 4. South Carolina with Lenora Sellers at 5. Florida picked 6, followed by Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. That rounds out your top 10 in the preseason poll. The final 6 are Auburn, Missouri, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi State at 16. What's kind of crazy, though, is you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different teams receive first place votes, including 1 for Tennessee, 1 for Auburn, 2 for Vanderbilt. So parity in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt for the first time maybe ever. We always make fun of the homers that throw them a first place vote every year. But this year, if it is a homer, there's at least 2 now. And screenshot that one. You got Vanderbilt over Tennessee. Not sure who did vote the Vols. If we dug around, we might could dig that up. What I did find fascinating, though, Mo, we've talked all in the last 2 weeks about Tennessee and how this is going to be a defensive kind of led team. They only had 3 all-conference selections, and all 3 of them were on defense. Not anybody on the first 3 teams on the offense. So they're going to really, hopefully, and it doesn't feel like that defense is going to be as intense as it was last year. So if they can get up to speed and kind of keep them in games while the offense learns and kind of grows, that will be paramount for them. But in terms of just individual talent, they didn't get much love from the voters today.
Not on the offense anyway. So yeah, that's traditionally what Heupel puts on the field offensively, that's a little bit of a surprise, but I guess that just kind of speaks to the unknown quantities that there are on offense in Knoxville this year. So who were the defensive guys? I don't have that in front of me.
Let's see here. We got Jermon McCoy. He was voted first team all conference, and then your 2 third-team selections, linebackers Arian Carter and DB Boo Carter. For Tennessee. Lenore Sellers was your first-team quarterback, which is not necessarily a great surprise. South Carolina coming in to this season with a lot of juice. And then when you go second team, Garrett Nussmeier, and third team was Arch Manning. So no love for Pavia. I'm sure he will take that lying down and not really, bottle it up or anything of that nature.
No, he'll just water off a duck's back.
Yeah, right? Don't mess with the guy that was just sitting front row at UFC. I mean, he's ready to take something out. You do wonder, though, does Pavia try and take on too much this year? Because now there is a little bit, for the first time ever, really in a long time, at least at Vanderbilt, some kind of expectations around him, and especially that offense and the team in general. You do wonder if maybe a guy that's kind of a little bit of a gunslinger, he's the ultimate competitor, but if that maybe leads to just a few extra passes, maybe a few extra INTs or something of that nature, he will be fun to watch. He will be electric in every game, and I'm curious to see if he can back up what he did last year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for the fact that while you knew what he did at New Mexico State a couple of years ago, you didn't know how well it was going to translate to the Southeastern Conference. He's not going to sneak up on anybody this time around.
Right.
The
I guess that was my point.
Is gone. Yeah. So, I don't know how that works when the scouting report has you at the top of the list all of a sudden. And everything that comes with that against opposing defenses. So he's going to be fun to watch. They're going to be fun to watch. And I think that's got to be a storyline. Just how well do you back up 2024, both as a team and obviously individually. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting, right? I mean, they open with Charleston Southern, but then they go to Blacksburg, who, Virginia Tech's going to want a little revenge for last year. But then, bam, right out of the gate, week 3, they got to go to South Carolina for a night game. which will be tricky. They got Georgia State and Utah State at home, but then a real double dose in October at Alabama. Speaking of revenge games, I can't believe I just had to say that out loud about Vanderbilt and Alabama, but here we are. And then LSU. So the schedule, they also got Texas. That's one other thing, too. Tennessee, in the grand scheme of things, they actually have a really favorable schedule outside of their usual, Georgia, Florida, and Alabama games. The rest of the schedule, in terms of avoiding Texas, is favorable for them, but Vanderbilt not as much because they have Texas, Alabama, LSU, and South Carolina, all of which are kind of smack dab in the middle of their 2025 calendar. So it will be interesting to see kind of how they navigate this year with, to your point, kind of being the hunted rather than the hunter this year.
Absolutely, it will bear watching. And while you mentioned the revenge game for Alabama and for Virginia Tech, Vanderbilt's also going to be looking for a little revenge when the Panthers of Georgia State come to town. So that'll be one to keep an eye on as well. Keep an eye on us. We will begin our college football previews later this month. Specifically, we're looking like maybe the 31st will be our first one, and we will roll through a few conferences. We will roll through the SEC and get you ready for college football right here on Main Street Sports today. So be sure and keep an eye out for all that news coming to us, as we've used this phrase a few times on this show over this offseason, and we use it again. TJ Watt is now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history in terms of AAV, extended by the Pittsburgh Steelers with a year, $123 million deal. My math tells me that's $41 million a year. You can buy a lot of pierogies in Pittsburgh with $41 million a year, I would think.
Absolutely. That is a mammoth contract and well-deserved in many regards. And the Steelers kind of, they are going to be, to me, one of the top 2 or 3 most fascinating teams to watch this season. And we kind of know, we've come to know a little bit above mediocrity some years from them. We've kind of experienced a little bit below mediocrity from them, but they're always going to be right there in the thick of things. This feels like another quintessential Steelers move, kind of rewarding a guy who's meant so much to their franchise. And, if I'm Paul Skeens, I'm looking across the river saying, hey, what the heck, man? When can I get my mitts on some dough like that?
In 2022, Watt had signed a 4-year, $112 million extension. That made him, at $28 million per year, the highest paid defensive player in the league. But since then, he's been, superseded by a few folks on both sides of the ball, including Cincinnati receiver Jamar Chase and Cleveland edge rusher Myles Garrett, who are both at the $40 million level as well. Jamar at 40.25. So this now, again, pushes Watt back to the top of the heap. And like you said, they're going to be fascinating with that defense that now includes former Brentwood Academy, former Florida State standout Jalen Ramsey, and Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So it feels like they've kind of pulled a Jim Fassel, pushed all the chips in the middle of the table.
Yeah, this will be a make or break year. It feels like for either Tomlin, Rodgers, or any number of those superstars. For a team that usually kind of abides by the status quo, kind of a lunch pail, everybody chip in and do their part mentality. It doesn't feel like that. And they open up with the Jets, then they got the Seahawks and Patriots and Vikings before they head to the bye. But even their their AFC North schedule alone is going to be a gauntlet if we anticipate the results from last year kind of carrying over. So I'm not going to ever count them out, but I'm not ready to count them in just yet either. They will be a must-watch kind of as this season unfolds.
Yeah, for sure. They will be. Meanwhile, and you can tell me a little bit more about the significance of this, Wade. Mike Williams has announced his retirement the 30-year-old Chargers receiver was dealing with an undisclosed injury and had been placed on the PUP list heading into training camp, but you can take him off that list and put him on the retired list, apparently. Chargers, Jets, Steelers, was traded to Pittsburgh at the deadline last year, re-signed over the offseason with the Chargers, but apparently will not be playing after all.
Yeah, and if this is the true last hurrah for him, man, he has had a fun career, even going back to his days at Clemson. It just felt like he's had the goods to be one of the best. It feels like he kind of maybe didn't scratch the surface of what he was really, really kind of capable of. Latched on with the Jets last year when they were kind of trying to sign anybody and everybody to make some sort of a run. Had a key drop that kind of went viral last year, and it just has not really tracked what was kind of a promising start for him, really when he kind of began with the Chargers. So if you're LA, this one maybe stings a little bit. You were hoping to maybe get him back and maybe kind of get the very best of him. But then you kind of look around and you see Najee Harris and, man, Omarion Hampton, I'm telling you folks, is going to be a stud in that offense, backing up Harris. But then you got Ladd McConkey kind of holding things down, and suddenly you start feeling a little warm and fuzzily, and you're like, okay, McConkey, Quentin Johnson, and Trey Harris, Williams, who knows where he would have really kind of fit in the mix of all that. Would have been nice to have, certainly, but you don't necessarily feel that bad. They will be electric to watch this season with kind of the offense probably shifting a little more, it feels like to me at least, into a ground and pound type mode, which is right up Harbaugh's alley. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes on a lot of their games as the year goes on.
He is number 10 all time with the Chargers in receiving yards. 13th in receptions, 13 in receiving touchdowns. So had a nice little impact quietly with the Chargers, I guess, even though he
at the beginning of his career he was great
out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a guy that caught 10 touchdowns his second season in the NFL, kind of as LA's kind of trying to find its identity, and we thought, Herbert's going to be a massive, massive gunslinger. He was a big part of that. Never got close to really matching that. Well, I take that back. He had 9 grabs in 2021. But those 2 seasons, he never had more than 5 beyond those 2 years. So started out with a bang and then, kind of ended with a dud last year in New York and a little time in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Cleveland's are expected to show up at training camp today with the exception of Quinshon Judkins, the former Ohio State and Ole Miss running back, was advised by the team to focus on his legal situation after being arrested on domestic violence charges. Apparently, allegedly punched a woman after they got off of a flight in Fort Lauderdale. He's not under contract anyway, but they just said, go ahead, deal with that other stuff. And so negotiations, I guess, are on hold between the Browns and Quinshon Judkins while he deals with his legal concerns. So as they get started in camp this weekend, Judkins won't be there. He was the 36th overall pick, and with Nick Chubb signing with the Texans over the offseason, I would imagine that they kind of had some expectations for him, especially coming off a 1,000-yard season at Ohio State with 14 touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, right?
Would be or will be eventually a nice little piece for them if he gets there. But this is and also between the legal situation and whatever fallout there is from the NFL as a result, may be a while before he actually gets on the field for Cleveland.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And maybe there's a reason that they drafted Dylan Sampson as well, too. Maybe they kind of had this in their back pocket. And that will be a fascinating situation, right? Because Judkins at his high end really kind of feels like he could be a bona fide stud in terms of running back production. Jerome Ford, he's a nice quality piece, but he doesn't exactly, you're not thinking all pro level when you're talking about Jerome Ford leading your rushing attack. So maybe a chance for Sampson to get in there and either secure the primary backup role or, start grabbing a few little touches and start having a nice rookie season himself.
Yeah. I mean, you can see Dylan saying, hey, stay on out there. Do what you got to do. I got this.
Yeah, you take care of you, buddy. I'll hold it down till you get back.
It's held down. Absolutely. We were talking about fashion with Doug Feinberger in the show from the Associated Press, talking about WNBA. And you know how things go away. You stick around long enough, everything comes back around, including Damian Lillard coming back to the Portland Trailblazers after he was released by the Bucks earlier this year. He has re-signed with the team that drafted him. And what did he spend, 11 years there before he was traded to Milwaukee? Is that right?
Sounds right. Double digits at least.
Yeah, pretty good chunk of time. I'm having issues, if you can imagine that, and unable to open this article that I was going to reference. But yeah, he has signed a 3-year, $42 million deal with the Trailblazers to come back to the Pacific Northwest. I'm not real familiar with Portland's situation, Wade. How does that work for them?
I mean, I was just going to say this is another kind of example of what are the Blazers doing. They got absolutely roasted on draft. They got absolutely roasted on draft night when they took the international player from China, kind of making everybody kind of scratch their heads. And, on one hand, I kind of get this. This does feel like the swan song for Damian Lillard. And if he is cool, kind of coming back to that area where he had so many fond memories, especially whatever this season looks like, it may end up being a total wash. My initial thought was I was waiting for a retirement announcement to follow suit, but it does seem like he's at least going to, try and make a recovery, try and, spend his remaining years in Portland until such time maybe they can maybe flip him for something to someone else. But yeah, I'm not really sure what they're doing. There's a lot of question marks, especially losing Ayton in the offseason too. So a big old glass of I don't know what the hell the Blazers are doing, but it does get you nice. And sometimes, I mean, that's the case too. And we talked about it, when Devin Booker comes back to Phoenix. You don't really know or justify the deal or the contract, but you at least feel good about it because Booker's so beloved there. And this kind of is in the same vein, to me at least. Lillard coming back is going to do nothing. No one's really, really going to complain too much about bringing one of your all-time greats back.
Drafted 6th overall by the Blazers in 2012, spent 11 years there, 9-time All-Star. Traded to the Bucks in 2023-24. Averaged 25.7 assists this past year before he injured that Achilles during the postseason. So, to your point, it'll be interesting to see when or if this year he gets back. But 3 years, $42 million to go back to Portland for Damian Lillard. So we will see how that goes. Let's take a break here as we continue the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we'll be joined by VALAIR SHABILLA of 615 Soccer. Stick around.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
They walk among us, but at 240 miles per hour, they become something more. They're thrill seekers, risk takers, and maybe just a little bit unhinged. Buckle up. This new era of speed, this racing revolution, it's just getting started.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Weekend warm-up continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Joining us now from 615soccer.com, it is VALAIR SHABILLA, the bespectacled VALAIR SHABILLA. What's up? Looking all studious.
Thank you. It's a bit fake though. They're like computer glasses, you know. Like it's not like I don't really need them to see. They just like prevent some headaches, but they look good though, don't they? So, yeah.
They do look good.
Swaggy.
That's it. It's very swaggy. No shock for VALAIR. Hey man, Wade and I talked yesterday on the show following NSC's 3-0 win, over the Columbus Crew on Wednesday night, and I don't want to overstate it. Am I overstating just how big that win was, VALAIR, in light of everything that they had going on before the loss to Inter Miami, and to come right back on home pitch and take care of business in such a decisive manner?
No, it's absolutely a huge one, you know, and I think there are a couple of factors that add to it. First of all, you look at who the opponent is, right? This is not a gimme by any means. This is one of the best teams in the last 3 years in MLS. This is a team that has competed continentally very well, and within the league as well, very, very well. This is coached by one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the league. So when you look at Columbus Crew and what they have been able to do, for Nashville to dismantle them 3-0 at home is a really, really big result. Regardless of anything else, just that in itself, that's a big statement. Now, you look at the 16 games that preceded that being only one loss, then you're talking about a really good game, a really good team that responded. And that's another factor of all of this, is that Nashville had that blip in Miami, or in Fort Lauderdale, I should say, and that you kind of start thinking, well, is this a trend? Is this going to keep continuing? Or can they respond back? And what does that response look like? And what that response looked like was a 3-0 demanding win. And then the biggest factor and the biggest and most positive thing to take out of this is that the way that 3-0 win came about. The first half was a defensive team that was very solid defensively, that absorbed the pressure from Columbus, and then transitioned when needed to score goals on the other end. The second half, they had a bit more of the game, Nashville, and were able to really play their style and still get a goal from that. So adapting to the game, adapting to the opponent, and being able to, at the end of the day, get results, just like they've been doing all season, that's why they are a Supporters' Shield contender. And I don't think there's much, they're not flying under the radar anymore. I think everybody's seeing it now because you get enough results at one point, and then everybody kind of sees that.
Wade, you look like you were getting ready to come in.
No, I was just pulling up the table here to kind of back up what VALAIR was saying, and I guess I will ask while we're chatting here, VALAIR, is, to me it seems so impressive because, okay, not everybody can go on a 15-match unbeaten streak, obviously, but being able to bounce back the way that they did, and if it was a 1-0 game with kind of another late penalty like we saw against Philadelphia, or if it was a 2-1 game where, you maybe got a lucky goal and you felt like you were ahead, I was almost as impressed, and I'm curious your thoughts, I was more impressed by the way they kind of handled Philadelphia more even than I was their ability to bounce back. Anything less than a draw would have felt like an extreme disappointment, but a resounding win, I will admit, was probably a little low on my personal bingo card.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that different ways of winning matches. We talked about this the last couple of times I've been on the show because that's the hallmark of a good team, right? It's not, oh, there's just one thing and we do it really well and that's it. It's that, hey, if Nashville is a man down, they can still compete and get that late penalty and get the win. If Nashville is pinned under pressure from Columbus, relentless pressure, they can defend and stay organized at the back. And as well as if Nashville is facing a defensive team like DC and they are sitting back and they aren't attacking at all, not giving away any space, they can break that team down and still get the win. All three of those happened just last week. Those are three different complete wins. Those are three complete different ways of going about the game. And Nashville were able to adapt to all of those. And yes, they had that low blip in Miami. But look, they're not, that's not going to be a memorable one. That unbeaten streak was going to end anyway. It's unrealistic to expect them to continue that. And, if it's away at Miami where you lose 2-1, Messi did Messi things in the first goal. And then the second goal was a mistake from Joe Willis, who, by the way, bounced back just like the team. Really, really impressive game against Columbus.
Valair Shabilla of 615 Soccer joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coming back with such a resounding victory, that 3-0 win over Columbus Crew, got some momentum or reestablish momentum. I don't know. I just, to your point, I tend to not put a whole lot in that loss at Miami, especially the way they bounced back. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek asked yesterday, if you lose a 15-game unbeaten streak on the road, come back and win one of your most dominant performances of the season at home, did you really lose?
And that's really what it comes down to, because at home they are 10 unbeaten at the moment. So, it's a continuation, really. I don't know if that momentum ever went away. I agree with you. And to me, it's always like trend versus blips, right? And it's like, what is a trend? What this team has shown us this season that they can do is win and get results. That's been the trend. That the overwhelming majority of the time they've been able to get results and win. And yes, there are a couple results. There's a loss in Seattle. There's a loss at home to Cincinnati earlier in the season. There's that loss to Miami, a couple others here and there. But in between those, there has been a tremendous amount of success. And that success is way more than, way more than the losses. So, if you're a numbers guy, if you're an analytics guy, there's a reason they are at the top of the table, right? You don't even need deep analytics or underlying numbers. That's just look at the points, look at the games they've played, and look at the goals they've scored.
Valair, to that point, speaking of numbers, they're a massive favorite to win outright on Saturday, minus 270, depending on where you shop. A draw can be had for plus 360, or if you dared to maybe go in Toronto's direction, plus nearly 7-1. Is it just PTSD in me in thinking, okay, now I want to see how they respond versus an inferior opponent by all accounts? Can they go out and take care of business now after riding a little bit of a high on somewhat of a short rest?
This is how I know you've been watching too many Nashville teams. Yeah, it is a little bit of PTSD, man. It's one of those things where you kind of a game like this where Toronto have nothing to lose. They're gonna sit back. They're not gonna play expansive soccer. They're not gonna give any inches to Nashville SC. And the onus is going to be on Nashville SC to break them down. That's what it comes down to, is that what can you do with the ball? We've talked about in the past where Nashville SC has had the ball before BJ Callahan, and even in the beginning of BJ Callahan last season, where they had the ball and they had 60% possession, it just couldn't do anything with it. That's a bygone era. At this point, you're looking at a team that can find solutions and find ways to do with the ball, and that comes with being successful. Is that the expectations, at the beginning of the season, you say Toronto's playing Nashville. Those are two teams who didn't make the playoffs. They both have some good players, but you don't know. At the beginning of the season, you may say a draw is good here or acceptable even. But right now, if you solidify yourself as a Supporter Shield contender, you have to take care of business at home against the 12th best team in the East, and that's just that's just what you need to do to be in those conversations and to be in that elite conversation. Because to be honest, I've heard so many people in the past be like, well, mainstream media doesn't give Nashville enough credit, blah blah blah. If you're a smaller market, you have to win these games and you have to solidify yourself to get that credit and to get those mentions. You have to do more than the big markets. That's what it is. That's in every sport, and soccer is no different.
You said all that, Valair, and you still predicted Nashville 1, Toronto 0. Is that a function, and also went so far as to say it only goal comes from a penalty kick? Is that a function of Toronto just sitting back, kind of like you maybe described a moment ago?
I just think it's going to be one of those frustrating ones for Nashville SC. I really think it's
that's kind of where I guess where I was going with a minute ago. Just doesn't feel like it's going to be that easy, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, look, there is a chance out there where Nashville goes in there and scores 3, right? But I just don't think there is a good chance for Toronto to get a result. I guess that's where I was coming at, and to me, it's gonna be not only Toronto's coming in sitting back. Nashville have played game every 3 days for the last 2 weeks now. Every 3 days they've had a game. It's been a very demanding schedule. Now, thankfully for them, they didn't have to travel this time around. They played Columbus on Wednesday, and Toronto tomorrow, both at Geodis Park. So that adds a little bit to where Toronto had to go all the way to San Diego, which might as well be another country for them. Wait, it is another country for them. But and then come back and play Nashville. So I don't even know if they went back home to Toronto. I'm not honestly sure. Sometimes teams do these trips. I mean, it was just Wednesday that they were in the West Coast. Now they're here and they live in Toronto. So their schedule is a little more. While it is the same congestion, it is a little more. The total is a little higher, I guess. There.
I think I'd have just hung out in San Diego for another couple of days.
Yeah, yeah, they might have just done that, and I would have done that too if I was them.
Yeah, Valair, you mentioned the way the schedule has kind of hit for the boys in gold. They do get, well, some of them will get some time off after this game tomorrow night. You've got 3 guys that will be playing in the All-Star game Wednesday at Austin against Liga MX, Nahar, Mukhtar, and Surge, but everybody else is going to get a little downtime. How big do you think that is right here before they go to San Diego next weekend?
It's huge. It's huge because San Diego is one of those Supporter Shield teams. Now, they did lose to Toronto somehow at home. That was not expected. But that's again, this league, and that's what we've seen. I mean, if you look at the games on Wednesday, not a lot of them went according to plans. Now, that said, San Diego is still a very good team. This is their first ever season. However, they are definitely in that Supporters Shield contention. The loss to Toronto, and if they fail to get a result this weekend, and fail to get a result against Nashville SC, maybe they will no longer be Supporter Shield contenders. But for right now, as we speak, this is a very good team. This is a team that has a philosophy that we haven't seen expansion teams have, which is play with the ball and be able to do that. So for Nashville SC to go there and being able to have a few days of rest is really cool. But also having 3 of those guys be at Austin for the All-Star game, I think will be a morale boost for those guys specifically. Not that they need it really, because all 3 of them have been having an incredible season so far. That's why they're there. But I do think there is a camaraderie there and a spotlight that Hani Mukhtar has felt. I think this is his 4th All-Star. So he's seen it before. I don't think he's surprised to be there. But for Sam Surridge and Andy Nahar, both of them, this is the first time for them being there. And I think that's a huge deal, especially for somebody like Andy Nahar, 31 years old. In soccer, you kind of your time is limited, right? So it's like at 31, you play right back. You really aren't the superstar almost always. You're never the superstar for the team. So being able to break into that, become a fan favorite here at Nashville, and earn an All-Star spot, which he absolutely deserves. It's a real testament to his game. So I think they're going to be boosted up from that. The All-Star game the travel might be more taxing than the actual game. I don't think anybody's going to take it that seriously. Everybody plays 20, 30 minutes and just runs around the pitch. So hopefully nobody gets injured from any team, and they can meet the team in San Diego as they prepare.
Sending 3 guys to the All-Star game, does that kind of further stamp this team as one of the, I don't want to say elite, but a team that should be watched here in MLS here down the stretch, maybe?
Yeah, it's a huge testament. They've never had that before. They've had 2 go with Walker Zimmerman and Hani Mukhtar in the past. Now it's 3. And I think the elite comment, the only reason we can't say Nashville's elite yet is just because they haven't done it for multiple years and multiple seasons, right? I mean, I think, by the end of the season, if they come back next season and being able to do this again or have the same amount of production, they are going to be in that elite conversation. Right now, it's a little too early to call them elite, just because it takes a while. You have to win something maybe, and they haven't done that. But I mean, they have as good of an opportunity as anybody else this season to win Supporters Shield. They are in the semifinal of the Open Cup. If you are in the Supporters Shield conversation, you're going to host a lot of playoffs games. So you're in the MLS Cup conversation. So those are 3 trophies that Nashville SC are very well adjusted for and very well, able to get to. Now, obviously, season's still long. There's still a lot to go, and there are good teams in the East and in the Open Cup still left. So we'll see. But I think they are, by definition, one of the best teams in the league this season.
Valair, any updates on when Nashville's going to rock the nostalgia kits again? I mean, you beat Columbus 3-0 at home. You should just wear those forever, I would imagine.
Next time out, right?
BJ Callahan did say that as soon as he sat down for his press conference. He said, we're going to try to wear them as much as possible. But I think it was a little tongue-in-cheek there. I don't think they're wearing them tomorrow. I have to say, I saw the game notes came through. They sent the game notes over, and it had the yellow jersey. So, sorry, the gold jersey. I apologize. Don't want anybody on me here. And so I think it's going to be the gold jersey tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised to see them at least a couple more times by the end of the year because, well, A, they look really nice, and B, they want people to buy them, I'm assuming. So if you wear them, people will probably buy them more.
Valair, loaded question for you. What was the most impressive part of their reveal video? Was it Eddie's acting chops? Was it the kits themselves? Or was it seeing Soccer Moses in his kind of traditional garb, a.k.a. not dressed up in a game setting?
Yeah, in the non-traditional garb, I would say, really. I think, Soccer Moses being that's a hard one. But yeah, I'll go Soccer Moses without a beard. That caught me off guard. Now, obviously, I know Steven very well, so good. He's I know he can act. Now, Eddie Taxeth acting, he did talk about it. I interviewed Eddie Taxeth this past.
Yeah, what did he say about the experience?
He really liked it. And he said he likes doing that sort of stuff, and he feels. I think he feels the fans' love to him, and he made it very clear. So. Next week, we'll release the interview. It's on air with Valair episode 3, so keep an eye out. We have a 30-minute plus conversation with Eddie Taxeth. Slow plug.
Well played.
Plug right away, sir. We appreciate it. We appreciate you spending some time with us, and look forward to having you come back and plug something else here soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Valair.
Thank you, Valair. Let's take our final break of the show, our final break of the week here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. It is the weekend warm-up. When we come back, Wade and I will let you know what we're going to be keeping an eye on between now and Monday. Stick around.
Being in Tennessee, we wanted to try to keep it as local as possible, so we have an entire section of our menu that is just dedicated to local whiskeys like Uncle Nearest, Jack Daniels, of course, George Dickel, Nelson Brothers, Greenbrier whiskey, and all of our taps are all local. From 2 o'clock until midnight, we've got food every day for you guys. A good handful of appetizers, some entrees, and a couple salads and things like that. My name is Ethan Kanata. Please come down and see us at the PIC Lobby Bar here at the Omni in Nashville.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
There's a line that links us all. Most of the time, we don't even think about it. But it's everywhere. Illuminating our neighborhoods, empowering our businesses, and helping us to recharge. Whether it comes from our grids, the sun, or a kind heart, we believe in the power of good energy. And as your family and region continue to grow, you can trust that we'll always be there for you. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
It's the final segment of the weekend warm-up here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. As we mentioned just now, Toronto is at Geodis Park tomorrow night against Nashville Soccer Club. That's a 7:30 first touch if you can't make it out there. But you might ought to try, because they've still got the locals only first game free promotion going on. So if you've not been, tomorrow might be a good one to go to. But if you can't, 7:30, it's on Apple TV. So you can check it out there.
We're going to celebrate Star Wars night tomorrow too. So toss on your best Vader outfit and cheer on the boys in gold.
Take your lightsaber, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are they going to allow those in?
I hope so. I could see why not, but I would hope so. Otherwise, the Force will have to be really strong with them in their final send-off before the break.
There we go. As Wade mentioned during the rundown, Scotty Scheffler kind of doing Scotty Scheffler things over in Ireland, shoots a 7 under 64 in the second round of British Open to go to 10 under halfway through the tournament. He's got a a 2-shot lead? Is that what that is? Over Matt Fitzpatrick?
1 stroke.
1 stroke lead. Okay. My bad.
Got two on several others, but 1 on Fitzy there.
1 on Fitzpatrick. Yeah, I was misreading today's score and the score for the tournament. My bad. Reading is fundamental. Yeah, he's 1 ahead of Matt Fitzpatrick, and then a couple of guys 2 strokes back, including Brian Harmon. So, again, Scheffler just kind of doing what we've gotten used to him doing over the first half of this season. Wade, I saw something somewhere, folks lamenting the thought that this is the final major event of the golf season, that they need to kind of reconfigure the schedule a little bit to maybe spread those major tournaments out and push something later on into the year. I don't necessarily know that anybody's going to give up a date, but any thoughts about having your 4 majors wrapped up before the end of July?
No, none on mine. And, you get the bonus major with TPC Sawgrass to kind of really get things kickstarted. So I like it the way it is. I don't necessarily like, and especially the casual fan, it gives the casual fan too long to kind of tune out. You want to cash in on some of that momentum, right? I mean, you want to see what Rory does 3 weeks after, rather, he wins the Masters, in my opinion. If you start spacing that, 6 weeks apart, it just feels a little too much. And then you still got Ryder Cup every other year. You still got President's Cup in the mix to kind of tide you over once the majors wrap up. I could see where somebody maybe would argue against that, but nah, I say you cash in on the momentum.
Okay. All right. NASCAR goes to Dover this weekend. Shane Van Gisbergen has won the last 2 events, both at Chicago and at Sonoma, but we kind of return to conventional racing this weekend as opposed to the road racing. I don't know that that's necessarily in his favor, but maybe with some momentum, he turns up and shows up in Dover.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to be fascinated to see, like you just mentioned, we got used to Van Ginsbergen just kind of dominating the last 2 weeks. Everybody else in the garage kind of got to feel like, all right, thank goodness, now we have actually a shot to win one of these things.
And your in-season challenge goes to semifinal rounds. You've got Ty Dillon and John Hunter Nemechek matched up. Number 32 seed Ty Dillon, 12 Nemechek. You've got Tyler Reddick and Ty Gibbs in the other semifinal. Reddick is at number 23. Ty Gibbs is at 6. Got any feel, Wade, for who your finalists are going to be out of that bunch?
I don't, but according to Vegas at least, give me those 4 again.
Dillon and Nemechek, Reddick and Gibbs.
Dillon and Nemechek is kind of a toss-up. Looks like Dillon's a slight favorite. And Tyler Reddick is a small favorite over Gibbs. So kind of 4 or 2 even matchups in that regard. Flip a coin and you might win or you might lose.
The in-season challenge will be decided next weekend at Indianapolis, but they are again at Dover this weekend, and we will discuss Monday how things go, and we will catch up with Heather on Wednesday to dive a little deeper into it. So looking forward to that. Finally, the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame 2025 induction class will be honored tomorrow night at the Omni Nashville. We talked to Brad Willis one day last week, I guess it was, about that, and I would imagine he's going to be pretty glad to have that off of his plate once it's all over with tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun event. Brad kind of ran through everything. They do such a good job of not only recognizing and celebrating greatness in the state, but really kind of weaving and kind of telling a compelling story, whether it's Butch Wilmore, who's going to be their Tennessean of the Year, kind of weaving those angles and kind of delivering some theater. It's always a fun event. It's a hell of a time when it's at the Omni, I can tell you that much. So hopefully another kind of epic iteration. But to your point, yeah, Brad is probably, and the staff, been working very diligently on this thing for months and months. It feels like one of those events you basically start working on next year's the moment you wrap up that night. So they'll catch a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a respite there, and should be another fun event. I do know some of the boys from Memphis are coming over. Chris Vernon and Roser and Devin Walker and all that crew, they're going to come over to see the Grindfather receive his recognition. So it'll be a fun weekend to celebrate, as we've said many times on this show, kind of the real greats that this great state has had to offer in terms of athletic achievement.
Absolutely. Ron Slay is going in, the former Pearl Cone, former University of Tennessee men's basketball standout. He had posted something on his Facebook earlier this week about it, inviting folks out, and I'm gonna be excited to just see what kind of contingent he has show up for this thing, man, because he is Nashville to the heart, man, and to have it right here, in his hometown, and everything he's done both on the floor and since with his work with the SEC network and his radio show hosting gig as well. He is Ron Slay is one of a kind, man, and if anybody deserves this type recognition, it's him.
Hey, no doubt. Couldn't have said it any better myself. The bar has been set pretty high. A couple years ago, Javon Curse dazzled everybody, both on the stage, but really as colorful as he was kind of before he was on stage. So Slay's kind of got to match the energy from the Freak in that regard. A couple beverages will be able to help you do that, of course. So I'm excited to see Slay go in, and you mentioned it. I mean, there are just so many great honorees and recipients here, but he kind of has the whole city cheering him on and kind of rallying behind him. So that will be epic tomorrow night.
I just don't know that I want to challenge Ron Slay to match anybody's energy.
That's not a business I'm really trying to be in.
Yeah. Omni Nashville ain't got no roof. It's going to be a lot of fun. I am searching, trying to come up with the entire list of Hall of Fame inductees, and I'm struggling to come up with it, unfortunately. I'm just not looking in the right place. I don't know. Here we go. You mentioned the grandfather, Tony Allen, going in. Belmont and former Hillwood High School standout Joe Bailing. Bob Brown, you've got, what, at least two Lady Vols, Tamika Catchings and Chamiqua Holtzclaw are both being recognized. Longtime Germantown baseball coach, the late Phil Clark. Memphis kicker, Stephen Goskowski. UT football players, Dion Grant and Andy Kelly. You got Memphis basketball, Larry Keenan. That's the University of Memphis. Oh, excuse me. That's actually Memphis State. You've also got former Titans receiver Derek Mason, longtime Tennessee assistant football coach Doug Matthews, high school basketball coach, spent a lot of time at Brentwood Academy. George Pitts is going in. Knoxville Austin East high school basketball standout and Ole Miss guard Elston Turner. Shea Weber from the Nashville Predators, tennis player Chris Woodruff, among others, being honored tomorrow night. So it's certainly a who's who of honorees. And again, Brad Willis and the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame do a fantastic job with this thing on a yearly basis, and this is no exception. So should be a lot of fun. If you don't already have your tickets, go to tshf.net for ticket information. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock at the Omni. Check it out. That's going to do it for the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Be sure and join me and Wade at 2 o'clock Monday afternoon. We'll see y'all then. Have a great weekend.
See you, boys.